All right, so we're diving into the world of notebooks today.
Notebooks.
Specifically, ordering custom notebooks in bulk.
That's right.
And, we've gotten a lot of interest in this.
Yep.
People are really curious. They want to make sure they're getting what they paid for, and with good reason, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when you're putting your brand on the line.
Yeah.
You don't want a subpar notebook representing your company.
Definitely not.
So we've got some great material here from Lion Paper Products.
Okay.
Their CEO, Leo Shao, he's given us some really solid advice
Sounds like an expert.
on quality assurance and how to make sure you get exactly what you want
I'm all ears.
when ordering these notebooks in bulk. So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
He starts off by saying that one of the biggest mistakes buyers make
Okay.
is just saying they want high quality.
Right. I could see that.
And it's like, yeah, of course everyone wants high quality, but what does that actually mean?
Yeah, that's the question, is it? What does that mean when you're talking about a notebook?
Exactly. Like, I might think high quality means thick, luxurious paper,
Mhm.
but the supplier might be thinking more about a cover that'll survive anything.
Exactly. You're speaking different languages almost.
Right. So how do we bridge that gap?
Well, Leo's point is you got to get specific. You got to define quality with objective,
Okay.
measurable standard, something you can actually put in the contract.
So no more vague requests. We need to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And he gives some great examples.
Like what? Give me the specifics.
Well, for starters, paperweight, it's measured in GSM, right?
Yeah, I've seen that around, but honestly, I'm not totally sure what it means.
Basically, it's grams per square meter. So the higher the GSM, the thicker and heavier the paper.
Okay, so a higher GSM means a higher quality paper.
Generally, yes, but it also depends on the purpose of the notebook.
Ah, I see.
But for most notebooks, Leo says 80 to 100 GSM is a good sweet spot.
Okay, 80 to 100 GSM, got it. Anything else about the paper?
Yeah, he also talks about FSC certified paper, which means it comes from responsibly managed forests.
Okay, so it's not just about the feel of the paper, but also the sustainability.
Exactly. And he mentions acid-free paper, too, which means it won't yellow or deteriorate over time.
So it'll actually last longer.
Right, it's thinking about the long term.
That's smart. Okay, so we've got the paper down. What about the printing?
Ah, yes, that's crucial, especially if you're putting your logo on there.
Yeah, a blurry logo would be a disaster.
Exactly. So Leo recommends sticking to CMYK for color accuracy.
CMYK. Why CMYK?
It's the standard color modi for printing. It just tends to be more accurate and consistent.
Okay, makes sense. And what about if we're using specific Pantone colors?
He actually addresses that. He says to set a tolerance of plus or minus 5% for Pantone variation.
Wait, so even with Pantone, there can be some variation.
There could be slight shifts during printing, so this just gives you some wiggle room.
Okay, 5% wiggle room for Pantone. Got it. So we've talked paper, we've talked printing.
Mm-hmm.
What about the actual construction of the notebook itself?
A good point. Leo recommends either PU leather or a hardcover,
Okay.
at least 2 millimeters thick for durability.
2 millimeters. That seems pretty substantial.
It is. You want something that'll hold up to wear and tear.
Makes sense. What about the binding?
He's a big fan of thread zone binding.
Thread sewn. Is that like the gold standard?
It is. It's more durable, and it allows the notebook to lay flat.
Ah, I see. I hate it when notebooks won't stay open properly.
Exactly, and Leo actually mentions a test for that, the 180-degree lay flat test.
They actually test for that. Yeah.
They really put these notebooks through the ringer to make sure the binding is solid.
Talk about attention to detail. But honestly, this is a lot to keep track of.
It might seem like a lot, but think of it this way.
Okay.
It's an investment in avoiding a major headache down the road.
That's true. What's worse, spending a little extra time up front or ending up with a shipment of unusable notebooks?
Exactly. Defining quality up front saves you time, money, and stress in the long run.
Okay, I'm convinced. So let's say we've got all these details hammered out with our supplier. Right, that's next.
Well, this is where Leo brings up pre-production samples. And he is adamant about this.
Samples, okay.
He actually compares it to buying a car without a test drive.
Haha, that's a good analogy.
Right, you wouldn't do that. And a bulk notebook order is a big investment too.
Absolutely. So what kind of samples are we talking about?
He breaks it down into 3 stages. First, a digital proof,
Okay.
so you can check the layout and colors on screen. Then a physical prototype,
Okay.
so you can actually hold it, see the paper, the cover, the binding. And finally, a test order
A test order.
of a small batch using the final materials and processes.
So we're checking it digitally then, physically then, with a mini batch. That's pretty thorough.
It is. But remember what Leo said, skipping this is like playing Russian roulette with your brand.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That image stuck with me. Imagine opening a box of notebooks and your logo is printed sideways.
Exactly. It's a nightmare scenario. The samples help you catch those mistakes before it's too late.
Okay, point taken. Samples are non-negotiable. But even if the samples are perfect, things can still go wrong during production, right?
You're absolutely right, and that's why Leo stresses the importance of catching problems early.
Okay.
With mid-production inspections, it's all about being proactive.
So we're not just waiting till the end to do a quality check?
Exactly. You want to be involved throughout the process.
So what does a mid-production inspection involve?
He outlines a three-phase system. First, a material inspection before production even starts
Okay.
to verify they're using the right stuff. Then a mid-production inspection when about 30 to 50% of the orders is done
Okay.
to check things like binding, printing quality, and consistency.
So you can catch any issues early on and make adjustments.
Precisely. It's much easier to fix things then than it is at the end.
Makes sense. And what's the final stage?
The pre-shipment inspection, this involves randomly inspecting at least 5% of the finished order
Okay.
before it leaves the factory. It's your last chance to make sure everything meets your standards.
So basically you're checking it at the beginning, during, and at the end.
Yep, it's a multi-stage process to ensure consistent quality.
This whole inspection system seems like a really good way to protect yourself.
Think of it as insurance. These inspections are a relatively small expense
Yeah.
compared to the potential cost of dealing with a shipment full of defects.
It's a small price to pay for peace of mind.
Exactly. And for that feeling of confidence that you're getting what you paid for.
So we've got our quality standards, we've got samples, we've got a rigorous inspection process in place. Anything else we can do to solidify this whole quality agreement?
Absolutely. There's more to cover. We need to talk contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, contracts are key. Leo's next big piece of advice is to get everything in writing.
Makes sense. Verbal agreements are great, but when it comes to something this important,
Yeah,
you need that paper trail.
exactly. A contract protects both sides, clarifies expectations.
It's like that safety net.
Exactly. So what should we be looking to include in a quality-focused contract like this?
Well, that's what I'm curious about. What are the must-haves?
Well, Leo highlights a few key elements. First, you need detailed product specifications.
Okay.
I'm talking dimensions, materials, paper quality, binding type, the whole 9 yards.
So all those specifics we talked about earlier.
Right. No room for ambiguity there.
Got it. What else?
You also need to define what's called a defect tolerance.
Defect tolerance.
Yeah, it's basically the acceptable defect rate before penalties kick in.
Oh, so like a certain percentage of notebooks that can be slightly off.
Exactly. And it's usually set at 2% or less.
Okay, so there's some wiggle room, but it's tightly controlled.
Right. No manufacturing process is perfect, but this sets a clear limit.
Makes sense. What about consequences, though?
Yeah, if the supplier doesn't meet these standards, what happens?
Right, what are the repercussions?
The contract should clearly outline that things like refunds, replacements, or price adjustments for defective goods.
Okay, so we're talking real consequences, not just a slap on the wrist.
Exactly. Having those consequences spelled out beforehand prevents arguments and headaches later on.
It's all about accountability. Anything else we should be thinking about?
Definitely, Leo recommends outlining testing and inspection requirements in the contract.
Interesting.
This could include things like on-site factory inspections by your team,
Oh, wow.
or even sending samples to an independent lab for testing.
That's a serious commitment to quality. I imagine that adds some cost, though.
It does, but consider it an investment. Third-party inspections provide an unbiased assessment
Okay.
of the product's quality. They can catch issues you might miss and give you that extra peace of mind.
Peace of mind is worth a lot, especially when your brand's reputation is on the line.
Exactly. It's about protecting your investment.
Okay, so we've got this ironclad contract. We're doing inspections. Sounds like we've got all our bases covered.
Well, almost. There's one more crucial aspect Leo emphasizes, and this is a big one.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Building a strong relationship with your supplier.
Ah, the human element.
Exactly. He says the best suppliers aren't just vendors, they're partners.
I like that. It's about collaboration, not just a transaction.
Precisely. The suppliers who truly value your business will keep you in the loop.
Okay.
They'll send regular progress updates, be transparent about any delays, and work proactively to address any quality issues.
So it's about open and honest communication every step of the way.
That's it. Leo has seen suppliers go above and beyond simply because they've built that strong working relationship.
That makes a huge difference. It's not just about the contract, it's about that human connection.
Right. There's mutual trust and a sense of shared responsibility for the success of the project.
But let's be realistic. Even with the best supplier and a solid contract, unexpected things can happen.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And that's why Leo leaves us with one final crucial piece of advice.
Okay, what is it?
Always have a backup plan.
Oh, I know that feeling. Unexpected delays, supply chain issues, you name it.
Exactly. Even the best suppliers can run into problems, raw material shortages, factory shutdowns, shipping delays. It's all part of doing business in a complex world.
So how do we prepare for these unexpected situations? What does a good backup plan look like?
Well, Leo gives 3 practical tips. First, diversify your supplier base.
Okay.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have at least 2 suppliers for the same product.
That's smart. If one supplier runs into a problem, you have options.
Exactly. What else?
What was the second tip?
Order in advance. Give yourself extra buffer time for those unexpected delays.
Oh yeah, Russian always leads to mistakes.
It does, and when your brand's image is on the line, it's better to err on the side of caution.
Definitely. Okay, so diversify suppliers and order in advance. What's the final tip?
Keep a small backup stock on hand. Having a reserve can be a lifesaver if you encounter quality issues or unexpected delays.
So basically, be prepared for anything. Leo's approach is all about expecting the best, but preparing for the worst.
You got it. It's a smart way to navigate the world of B2B. You can't control everything, but you can control your response to unexpected events.
This has been incredibly helpful. We've covered defining quality samples, inspections, contracts, supplier relationships, even backup plans. I feel like we've got a roadmap for success now.
That's what we're here for. And before we shift gears, I want to touch on something you brought up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That idea of applying these quality principles beyond just notebook orders.
You mean thinking about quality in a more holistic way?
Exactly. This conversation got me thinking, what if we took these principles, defining quality, clear communication, proactive checks,
Mm-hmm.
and applied them to other areas of business?
Like what specifically? Give me an example.
Think about marketing campaigns. You could define quality in terms of specific goals,
Okay.
like brand awareness or lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd use those inspections to track metrics, A/B test, add copy, analyze data, and make course corrections as you go.
It's like that multi-stage inspection process, but for marketing, instead of waiting till the end of the campaign to see if it worked.
Exactly. You're constantly checking and adjusting. And the same goes for customer service.
Okay.
You could define quality in terms of response times, customer satisfaction scores, or issues resolved on the first contact.
And then use data and feedback to continuously improve.
Precisely. It's about creating a culture of quality that permeates every department and every process.
I love that. Okay, we've explored a lot of ground here today, but I want to make sure we bring it all back to our listener
Yes.
and their immediate needs. What are the key takeaways they should be focusing on when it comes to those B2B notebook orders?
Great point. Let's distill it down to the essentials. First, define your quality standards
Okay.
with clear objective measurements. No more vague, high-quality requests.
Right. Get specific with the details. Paper weight, binding strength, color, accuracy. Spell it all out.
Absolutely. And remember those pre-production samples? Never skip that step.
See it, touch it, approve it before committing to the full order.
You got it. And don't forget those multi-stage inspections. Catching problems early can save you major headaches later.
Be proactive with quality control. And of course, get everything in writing with a solid contract.
Absolutely. That contract protects your interests and ensures everyone is on the same page.
And for larger orders, consider bringing in a third-party inspection team for that extra level of assurance.
It's a small investment that can save you a lot of trouble down the road.
And last but not least, build a strong relationship with your supplier.
Turn that vendor into a partner. Open communication, trust, and mutual respect are essential.
Love it. Okay, so be specific, be proactive, and build strong relationships. Those are the pillars of B2B notebook success.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so to our listener who's about to embark on this notebook ordering journey, we hope you feel empowered and prepared.
And remember, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, just come back to those 3 key principles.
Yes.
Be specific, be proactive, and build that partnership.
Great advice. Okay, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today. We started with B2B notebook quality assurance, and somehow we ended up talking about transforming businesses with quality management principles.
It's been quite the journey, and it just goes to show that inspiration can come from the most unexpected places.
I love that. Well, before we sign off, I have one final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
One that builds on what we've been discussing about partnerships. We've talked about suppliers as partners.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we took that even further? What if we applied that partnership mindset to everyone, even our competitors?
Wow, now that's a really interesting idea. It challenges the traditional US versus them mentality that's so prevalent in business.
It's easy to get caught up in that competitive mindset trying to outdo everyone else. But what if instead of seeing competitors as threats, we saw them as potential allies?
Think about the collective brain power and resources within an entire industry. Imagine the innovations and breakthroughs we could achieve if we harnessed that potential through collaboration.
Instead of fighting over a limited pie, we could work together to bake a bigger one. But let's be real, shifting to that kind of collaborative mindset is a big ask.
It's not easy for sure, but the principles we've discussed today, clear communication, shared expectations, mutual respect, those are the building blocks for any successful partnership, even with competitors.
So how do we start fostering this partnership mentality, even in a competitive environment?
Start by looking for common ground. Maybe there are industry challenges you can tackle together, or opportunities to share best practices. Don't be afraid to reach out and initiate conversations.
It's about building bridges instead of walls. And who knows, maybe those conversations could lead to unexpected collaborations that benefit everyone.
Exactly. And remember, trust is crucial. Be transparent, honest, and follow through on your commitments. Small acts of good faith can lay the foundation for a strong, mutually beneficial relationship, even with a competitor.
This deep dive started with B2B notebook quality assurance, and we've ended up talking about transforming industries through collaboration. It's amazing where these conversations can lead.
It just goes to show that even the most seemingly mundane topics can spark unexpected insights.
And that learning and exploration are always worthwhile. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with one final thought to ponder. We've been talking about quality in terms of products and processes.
Yes.
But what if we expanded that definition even further? What if the true measure of success in business wasn't just about profits and market share,
hmm
but also about the positive impact we create in the world?
What if we redefine success to include the well-being of our employees, the satisfaction of our customers, and the health of our planet? It's about creating a legacy that extends far beyond just financial gain.
It's a powerful challenge, and I think it ties back beautifully to everything we've been talking about today. Quality isn't just about things, it's about values, relationships, and the impact we have on the world around us.
That's a great way to sum it up.
So, to our listener, we encourage you to take this broader perspective on quality and apply it to your own business, your own decisions, and your own interactions with the world.
Remember, we all have the power to make a positive impact.
And that's a truly inspiring thought to leave you with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration of fascinating ideas and practical insights. It's a really interesting thought, right? Like reframing competition. It's so ingrained in us.
It is, yeah, it's like the default setting almost. But imagine if we could shift that.
What if instead of seeing competitors as threats, we saw them as potential collaborators?
It's a whole different way of thinking. It's about abundance, not scarcity.
Right, like instead of fighting over a limited paw, we could work together to bake a bigger one.
I love that analogy. And think about the potential, the collective brain power, the resources. We could harness that through collaboration.
It's mind-blowing, really. But let's be real, it's not easy to just flip a switch and start collaborating with your rivals.
No, it takes effort and trust, but it starts with those same principles we've been talking about. Clear communication, shared expectations, mutual respect.
So how do we start fostering this partnership mentality, like in a practical sense?
Start by looking for common ground. Maybe there are industry challenges you can tackle together,
Okay.
or opportunities to share best practices. Don't be afraid to reach out and initiate those conversations.
Yeah, it's about building bridges instead of walls.
Exactly. And who knows, those conversations could lead to unexpected collaborations that benefit everyone.
It's like that rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Precisely. But remember, trust is crucial. Be transparent, honest, and follow through on your commitments. Those small acts of good faith can build a strong foundation.
It's about showing up authentically and building that relationship over time.
Exactly. And that can lead to some really amazing things, even with a competitor.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive. We started with B2B notebook quality assurance, and somehow we ended up talking about transforming entire industries through collaboration.
It's been quite a journey. But it just goes to show, inspiration can come from the most unexpected places.
And that sometimes the most mundane topics can spark the most profound conversations.
I agree. It's all about being open to those unexpected connections.
So to our listener, we hope you've enjoyed this exploration of quality and collaboration.
And that you feel inspired to apply these principles not just to your notebook orders, but to all aspects of your business and your life.
Remember, quality is about more than just products and processes. It's about values, relationships, and the impact we have on the world around us.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration of fascinating ideas and practical insights.